For the first time since 1985, the football battle of Alberta on Labor Day involves two teams with a losing record. It's the Calgary Stampeders in front of a sellout crowd here at McMahon Stadium against the Eskimos wearing all whites for the first time in team history. Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Armitage, and welcome to the CFL on CBC in the second half of our Labor Day doubleheader. Well, the Eskimos come into this with a 3-5-1 record. The Stampeders are 3-5. The BC Lions are sitting in first place in the West, but they are definitely on the limb. So this game this afternoon, coupled with next Friday's rematch in Edmonton between the Eskimos and the Stampeders, could certainly be a crucial game for both teams. Right now, let's go up to the booth and join Glenn Suter and Chris Cuthbert. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Steve. Old rivals, a traditional matchup, but a lot of new faces to this game, including Ronald Williams, who is well-versed on Toronto and Hamilton on Labor Day. He should be a big part of today's game.
Well, Ron Williams cut 2 weeks ago by Ron Lancaster and Hamilton, but not for what he did on the field, but what he did off it. The Edmonton Eskimos hope he's the piece of the puzzle that will turn things around.
Jason Moss raised his stock earlier this year against Calgary and gets the start today.
It was week 3 versus the Stamps that he took the starting job. He struggled of late. Ron Williams should help him today.
Interesting that Marcus Crandall backed up Nealon Green. Green does not start today. Crandall does for Calgary.
You know that Crandall circled this date in his calendar when he signed with the Calgary Stampeders. No one has thrown for more yards this year than Crandall.
The Stampeders have weapons. They just haven't used them well enough this year.
Travis Moore's been involved. He's been the #1 target. They have to get Mark Boerichter more involved with the offense. 2 catches per game this season isn't enough.
Glenn, the Edmonton Eskimos have won the last 4 meetings against the Calgary Stampeders in the provincial rivalry. What about the keys today?
Well, for Edmonton on offense, I think they have to get success on first down. Jason Moss will have a lot less pressure on him if he can get in second and medium. Defensively, control the line of scrimmage. When Kelvin Anderson is running against you, that's the key. Offensively for the Stamps, Boerichter, he's got to become more involved in this offense for it to take the next step. And defensively, they got to stop Ron Williams. That'll put the pressure on Jason Moss.
Eskimos trying to win their 3rd straight Labor Day game, but also trying to bust a 3-game losing streak. Steve?
Thank you, Chris. It has been a long, hot, dry summer in southern Alberta, and it looks as if that weather trend will continue throughout the afternoon. Temperature of 25 degrees Celsius. The wind could be a factor. It is gusting as high as 50 kilometers an hour, so it could be big by the time this game is over. Coming up at halftime today, we'll have a feature on Travis Moore, who has more in his life these days than just football. We'll have highlights from the first half of the doubleheader, and of course, Suits will analyze the first half here. Now, let's go up and get this Labor Day Classic underway, the Stamps and Eskimos. Here's Chris.
Thank you, Steve. A perfect backdrop for this traditional tilt with second place at stake here at McMahon Stadium this afternoon. Calgary Stampeders will kick off, and Quincy Jackson and Donnie Ashley are back to accept the kickoff. Different atmosphere this year because both teams really need the win for their own purposes and not for bragging rights this season.
Well, there's no question about it. And there's always fireworks, and it's an awful physical game on Labor Day.
It will be Quincy Jackson across the 30-yard line, and he's taken down at the 34, and as usual, they're revved up here at McMahon Stadium. The top special teams man, Aldi Henry, made the tackle as Jason Moss leads the Eskimos out for the first time.
Well, Ron Williams is the newcomer in that backfield. Williams coming over from the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They hope to take the pressure off Moss with Ron Williams. That's the receiving core, Terry Vaughn and Ed Hervey, the leaders in that group.
And along the offensive line, both Princeton and St. Germain blocked for Williams when he was a Hamilton Tiger Cat. They go to work, and Moss throwing the first call is nearly picked off in and out of the hands of Alondra Johnson, the veteran linebacker in his 11th Labor Day, and oh, he would have loved to squeeze that.
Yeah, he knows a little thing or two about Labor Day and playing against the Calgary Stampeders and the Edmonton Eskimos in this matchup. Defensively for the Stamps, Cotton has been the difference. Joe Fleming just doing what Joe Fleming does, 5 sacks on the season. Alondra Johnson still playing well. And in the secondary, Greg Frères is banged up at safety.
Some concern about Frères, who pulled a calf muscle a couple of days ago. Here's Moss looking outside and overthrowing the tall target, Ed Hervey, and a 2-and-out for the Eskimos on their first possession. And Glenn, this year, they have yet to put points on the board on their opening drive of the game.
Yeah, not 1 point. Both teams, as a matter of fact, have struggled in their first drives. The Calgary Stampeders have not come up with a major in their first drives, and that's 8 different games. And like you mentioned, Edmonton without a point, and they'll have to punt the ball here.
There's Tom Higgins, a head coach at Labor Day for the first time in this game. Sean Fleming in to punt for the Eskimos, and he has had punts blocked in each of the last 2 games. That's Antonio Warren deep for the Stampeders. Warren from his 21. And he'll get up to the 35-yard line, a 15-yard return, a 55-yard punt, as Marcus Crandall goes to work for the first time on Labor Day as a starting quarterback.
Calvin Anderson was the offensive player of the week versus the BC Lions in a loss. He had over 100 yards rushing last week, and there's your receiving core. The leader in the CFL, Travis Moore, but they have to get Mark Bullrichter more involved.
Jamie Crysdale, the veteran, in his 142nd consecutive game. And what about those bookends, Childress and Ram at tackle? First down. Stamp start at their 35, and this is Anderson, the offensive player of the week, despite the loss last week when he rushed for 130 yards. He needs only 10 to become the second all-time rusher in Calgary Stampeder history.
He may just get it in this first drive. Defensive line for the Edmonton Eskimos. Doug Peterson, Fred Perry lead the way up front. Perry has 3 sacks on the season. Linebacking core very quick. Singor Mobley and Terry Ray, the leaders. And there's your secondary. Ralph Staten back in the lineup. Second game. Garrett is the leading tackler on special teams.
Second down 6. And Crandall with the short drop. Outlets and Bullrichter all wrapped up. Ball came loose after the whistle. They want to go to Bullrichter a lot more this afternoon, so Bullrichter, who actually had a little meeting during the week with the coaches, at least gets the football in his hands early.
Yeah, and Bullrichter was not complaining. Bullrichter went in to make some suggestions, not just to get him involved. He's not a selfish player by any means, but he thinks the offense needs more balance. Travis Moore leads the league. Calvin Anderson will do his thing. To get to that next level, Bullrichter has to see the ball more.
Ball was ruled incomplete. It's 3rd down and 7. Duncan O'Mahony, the Stampeder punter, checks in, and he'll kick it away to Donnie Ashley. And a good punt bouncing inside the 20. Ashley gets the no yards flag, and Aldi Henry is one of the first men down again. 52-yard punt and a no yards penalty to be tacked on against the Stampeders. Scoreless early at Big Man.
The CFL on CBC, brought to you by Dodge. Grab life by the horns. And by Bumper to Bumper, the auto parts professionals.
Wally Buono, 12th year as the boss in Calgary, 7-4 on Labor Day. And on his staff, back in the 80s, was Tom Higgins. I thought Tom Higgins put this game in best perspective today. It can turn somebody's season around, and that certainly is the intent for both teams who have struggled in the first 8 games. And here's Ronald Williams with his first carry, and Ray Jacobs rides him down.
Interesting, in the first 2 series, Ron Williams is playing in more of an I-back formation. They're bringing in the fullback as well for the Edmonton Eskimos, Sean Daniels, to give him some help. That's something that they've gone away from the rest of the season. All season long, they've been in single backs, but you see Sean Daniels up blocking for Ron Williams. They want to feature him and take some pressure off Jason Moss.
Williams second in the CFL with 607 yards. Coming into this game at 2nd and 8, and Moss unloads complete. That's Rick Walters trying to turn it up, and he does have enough for a first down. Lost the ball, but I think the officials are ruling no, it is a fumble, and it is Stampeder football.
This has been a problem for the Edmonton Eskimos in their last 3 games, all losses. Edmonton has turned the ball over 9 times in the last 3 games, and they do it early in this one, the first break for the Stamps.
Turned the ball over 8 times in the first 5 weeks, so it's really unraveled of late. Joe Barnes looked like he may have got the strip, and William Fields was around the football too. So at the 36, Crandall to Anderson with some room down that sideline, cuts back and is inside the 15-yard line.
Well, that's a well-executed play by the Calgary Stampeders because they get Jay McNeil, the offensive guard, out in front of Calvin Anderson. A design play. It's almost like a glorified pitch. Get him out wide, just toss him the ball, and then get a big lineman in front of you. Jay McNeil made the key block.
24 yards for Calvin Anderson. The Stampeders knocking on the door.
See big number 50 right in the left of your screen, making that block to get Calvin Anderson some yardage.
First down at the 12. Back inside Anderson. Down to the 5-yard line. And very close to that territory where he will pass Lavelle Coleman for number 2 all-time in Calgary rushing.
The Calgary Stampeders throughout the 8 weeks of the season have committed to Calvin Anderson in the first half of games. They've gone with him whenever he's been there, but they've gone away from him in the second half, and it's cost them dearly. Yes, they've been behind at times, but Calvin Anderson, the team wins if he gets 100. 2nd and 4 from the 6. They fake to Anderson. Crandall on his own. Flag down. Touchdown. Let's find out what the flag's all about. Ken Lazarick is in charge.
Legal contact on the receiver. Edmonton number 16 declined.
Touchdown, Marcus Crandall, who rushed for over 100 yards in his first meeting against the Eskimos.
If you get Calvin Anderson involved, it opens the rest of your game up. Calgary's Marcus Crandall will use Calvin Anderson up in the middle. When he does that on the fake, he sucks that whole Edmonton defense into the inside, and that gives him the corner, and then it's just a foot race, and he wins it.
So the Stampeders make the Eskimos pay for that Rick Walters fumble. McLaughlin adds the extra point in what will be his last Labor Day game. And a good start for Crandall and the Stampeders. Calgary on the board first in the Western Labor Day Classic. Fifth touchdown of the year for Marcus Crandall.
Well, 2 things make this touchdown happen. First of all, it's the play action fake to Calvin. I want to show you Vince Danielson on a great block on Fred Perry. Here's the play action fake up the middle. Now Perry tries to get outside, and Danielson cuts him off. If Perry gets outside, he stops the play. It's a good block at the point of attack by Vince Danielson. And he knows a thing or two about Labor Day Classics as well.
9-year veteran out of the University of British Columbia. O'Mahony kicks it off, and Donnie Ashley played his first game ever against Calgary and had over 300 yards and a tough man to bring down. A couple of flags down on this play. 22-yard Ashley return, and the Eskimos are hoping he can bust loose because he's been contained for the most part this season.
Well, high expectations obviously for Donnie Ashley, who has to fill the shoes of Henry Gizmo Williams.
Edmonton number 24. First down.
But having said that, Donnie Ashley is on the bubble. He's got to make something happen over the next couple of weeks, and right here on Labor Day would be a perfect start for him.
Andrew Henry charged with a holding call. Tom Higgins pretty open about the fact he's not going to be the next Gizmo Williams. There's not going to be another like Henry Williams.
They broke the mold.
So again, Moss starts deep back at the Eskimo 21 as he works against the Alondra Johnson-led defense, and AJ's in the thick of it on another carry by Ron Williams. Johnson and Joe Fleming converging on the new running back.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders have not played Hamilton yet this year, so they haven't played against Ron Williams this year. But you know, Alonzo Johnson has had many, many reps against Ronald Williams. He knows what he likes to do, and on that play, he just wanted to put his head down. And with him and Joe Fleming, they ganged up on him, stopped him for basically nothing.
You know, we were talking yesterday, and you felt Calgary really would focus on Williams because that seemed to be who the Eskimos were putting a lot of faith in. Here's Ed Herpy wide open down the sidelines, and he's just bumped out. But the deep threat for the Eskimos has done it again and moves the yardsticks in a big way.
Ed Hervey has two speeds, good and by, because that's what he does when he runs by defensive backs. He got a slow start to the season in his first 2 games, just 61 yards, but has he been on fire in his last 6, averaging over 100 yards per game in his last 6. They have a receiver to complement Terry Vaughn.
Couldn't walk the tightrope down the sidelines. That is his 8th catch of 38 yards. In that case, it was 38 or more this year. He is a bona fide deep threat and the number 3 man in the CFL in receiving yardage. Edmonton into the Calgary territory for the first time. Williams on the draw and breaks a tackle, gets to the 45.
Well, there's no question the Edmonton Eskimos are going to feature Ron Williams, because when your quarterback is struggling, there's a whole bunch more plays that he can use in 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3, 2nd and 2. If you're in 2nd and 10 all the time, it limits your playbook. Ron Williams can get him in that 2nd and short situation, and they hope he is the piece of the puzzle that turns it around for him.
Tom Higgins suggesting the great running backs take heat off the quarterback, and in the Eskimos' case, a young quarterback. 2nd and 5, and Moss pulls it down and takes a lick at the 41, and he is going to be short of the first down as Cotton and Johnson got a lick in on the quarterback.
Well, no matter what the records of these 2 teams coming into this game, you know that Labor Day will be physical. Jason Moss doesn't hook slide feet first. He needs a first down for his football team. Johnson makes him pay if he's going to get it, and he's just short, like you mentioned.
It'll be 3rd down, and it will be the Eskimos gambling. They've got to get to the 40. Give inside, and they pile it up. Sean Daniels, the big fullback, 233 pounds.
Number 34, Sean Daniels got the call.
Going to be a first down for Tom Higgins' crew.
The design of the play is to have Ron Williams vacate the backfield to the offensive right, and that hopefully will pull a linebacker with them, and then you slam Sean Daniels, the fullback, up in the middle.
Daniels, who does such a good job blocking in the Eskimos' backfield, takes a break. 1 back set. Williams behind Moss, who goes to the air over the middle, and Walters can't hang on. Prayers just got enough to jar the ball loose.
Well, and that's a good play by Greg Prayers for a couple of reasons. One, he read it perfectly and had a good jump on the football, but also he's playing on a very, very sore right calf muscle. He's in the middle of your screen, and he's trying to favor it a little bit. He wants to break off his left leg as much as he can. Now, that'll be fine if the ball's over the middle or to his right. If it goes down the seam to his left, it makes it more difficult. We'll watch for it this afternoon.
7-0. Stamps have the lead. And a 2nd and 10 upcoming for the Eskimos at the Calgary 40. Here's Kelly Malvo on a blitz, and Jackson has the catch and a first down at the 25.
That is a nice read and tremendous poise from Jason Moss, with the Calgary Stampeders deciding to go with a little bit of pressure, something they don't do often. But Jason Moss recognized it immediately. Look at Malvo coming off the edge. He's coming from the secondary. Moss knows that he's vacated the area right in front of him to his right. He just has to get that football off before the blitz gets home, and he does it just in time.
So the Eskimos now down to the 26-yard line. 1st and 10. Back to Williams. Bounces off one, flag down as Williams crashes to the 18-yard line. Frere's the tackle, an 8-yard gain pending Ken Lazaruk's call. And that one will be negated by a holding penalty.
Well, of course, the big question mark with Ron Williams.
Holding Edmonton, number 56. First down repeated.
Depending on which side you listen to is, will he be a disruption in the Edmonton Eskimo locker room? And a lot of people are saying, what will Ron Williams bring that Mark Nora did not bring? Both are very powerful, hard running backs up the middle. Tom Higgins suggested that it was the pitch play to Ron Williams that he has a bit of an advantage over Mark Nora.
Mark Nora is not the happiest guy on the Eskimo bench as he has to watch Labor Day a year ago, 143 yards. So he feels he can get the job done. Right now it's Williams who's getting the opportunity. So the holding call brings it back to the 36. And it will be 1st and 20. Moss pulls it down. And again, Alondra Johnson's in on the stop as he got down to the 30-yard line.
Jason Moss had Terry Vaughn wide open at about the 25-yard line, but he gave up on the play. He was looking there initially. Looked like the play was designed to go to Terry Vaughn, but then he pulled it down in a hurry, a little bit of pressure on him, and he took off running. But I love what he does with the football. He's not hook sliding. He's getting those extra yards.
Talking to some of the Eskimo personnel before the game, and they said he has the intensity. See if Terry Vaughn was open on the play, his favorite receiver.
Yeah, he was wide open there, but you're right. He has the intensity of a guy that played in Edmonton a while ago that I know well, Matt Dunnigan.
Yeah, Matt would get fired up for this game, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
And we've got Mark Pilon cramping up a bit, getting attention from Pat Clayton just to do some business. The holding call was against George Hudson a couple plays ago, and I was a little surprised when they called 56 because we were told that Hudson would not be in the lineup today, but that's a last-minute change for the Eskimos.
Well, Leo Groenwagen also dressed over there on that Edmonton Eskimos sideline. He's missed the first half of the season, but he may see some time in the O-line. So they will likely rotate that offensive line to keep them fresh. There's Leo Groenwagen.
3-time All-Canadian. Was on the suspended list. It was, as Tom Higgins mentioned, a mutual suspension. Groenwagen pursuing a career in the pharmaceutical business, and he was in a training session for 8 weeks, but the Eskimos welcoming him back, and he'll be a big part of that offensive line once he gets up to speed.
Well, the upside of rotating your offensive linemen is that they stay fresh, obviously. The downside is they can't get in sync with each other. And that's when mistakes are made, especially with a young quarterback behind you.
So it's 2nd and 13. Those were the numbers for Moss off the bench. In week 3, a victory for the Eskimos against Calgary. Moss to the air, looking in the end zone. Touchdown! Terry Vaughn, who has never lost on Labor Day, has the tying score.
The safety, Greg Freres, was put in a bind. Ricky Walters came across in front of him, and when he flashed in front of him, he left Terry Vaughn wide open down the seam. Look at the safety right there in the middle of your screen. See him jump up on Ricky Walters? He jumps up on the shorter seam, and the deeper one in behind him is Terry Vaughn open for the touchdown. An injured calf can affect your decision-making process from the safety, well, from any position.
51st catch of the year for Vaughn, and hhis 2nd touchdown ties it in Calgary. 89-yard drive, capped by a 29-yard touchdown. And Terry Vaughn scorches his ex-teammates 4-0 on Labor Day as a Calgary Stampeder. And he's won the last 2 as an Eskimo.
Well, Terry Vaughn's his best year was last year when he had over 1,200 yards, but he's on pace for 1,700 this season, and he just went right down the seam.
Good job, man.
On pace for his 7th straight 1,000-yard season, which would tie a CFL record held by Don Narcisse. Fleming has it on the tee, and Warren is back for the Stamps. Antonio Warren hit and driven back before he got across the 25-yard line. Down there in on the tackle, Fred Perry, who's a defensive end, but as active a guy on special teams as the Eskimos have.
Well, he is second on the team in special teams tackles, and when Fred Perry is covering those kicks, you know he's got tremendous athletic ability. The leading tackler is Shannon Garrett, a defensive back. And you can have defensive linemen covering kicks. They come with a bad attitude.
So both teams on the board in the opening quarter, a 7-7 tie. Crandall. Anderson off the right side. Clint, it's a couple of times today where it's looked like they're trying to set up a reverse, a little deception in the backfield.
Absolutely, and that's the whole play-action game involving Calvin Anderson. You give it to him a couple of times, you can pull the ball down. We saw Marcus Crandall score off play action, and then there you see Bo Richter coming around the outside for a possible reverse, the next progression of that offensive series.
Calvin Anderson passed Willie Burden earlier in the season and now has gone by Lavelle Coleman. Little shuttle toss to Anderson on 2nd and 2, and at the 38-yard line he has a first down.
Big Fred Childress led that one. He tried to get out in front and try and find someone. When he gets in open field, it's a little tougher to try and block defensive backs. But what a season Fred Childress is having, moving from guard, where he played a year ago, over to tackle.
Big Chill, left tackle, the top offensive lineman in the Canadian League back in '98. And they're just announcing Anderson, number 2 all-time, and by the end of the year, he may be the number 1 rusher in Stampeder history. They're going back to the ground, and this time wrapped up and tossed down before he got to the 40, and that's Fred Perry in his more customary defensive play.
Marcus Crandall and Travis Moore are talking right now, and they just finished a conversation on the field right after that play, and I'm not sure if there wasn't a mix-up in the direction that Calvin Anderson was supposed to run that football, because he got caught dead in his tracks, and immediately Travis Moore came over and said, "Was I supposed to block that guy?" Probably was. Fred Perry went free and made the tackle from the backside.
And Perry limited the gain to only 1. 2nd and 9. Crandall. And incomplete. He was looking for Travis Moore.
Chris, I think Antonio Warren ran the wrong pattern. He came out of the backfield. It's one of the offensive sets that Calgary and played with both Calvin Anderson and Antonio Warren. He comes out of the backfield, though, and he's running right beside Travis Moore. 2 receivers side by side. You see Antonio Warren, number 6, right beside Travis Moore. There's a lot of traffic there, which means the defensive backs have more of a chance to make the play. And they'll discuss that one on the sideline.
Warren, who usually backs up Anderson and gives him a breather on occasion. 3rd down, O'Mani in. Punting the ball away. And it bounces around down inside the 30. And immediately down is Ashley, but the Stampeders inside that 5-yard restraining area. And Willie Fells was one of those Stamps who will be flagged as we join Steve Armitage.
Thank you, Chris. And I'm with Dave Sapunges, who's the honorary Stampeder captain today. Dave, give me a sense of what it's like to play in this game as a Stampeder.
Well, it's by far the most exciting game for any player. I think even for the Eskimo guys that come down here and play in front of a packed house. It's a game you really look forward to all year round.
And it looks like we got a classic going.
It's another great one. Tied game. I love it.
You've been out of the game 5 years. Do you miss it, and what are you doing?
I'm in the oil industry, and of course Calgary's doing very well. I know there are tough times in North America, but Calgary seems to be beating that. And I miss it a little bit, but I certainly safer in the fans.
Sponge, thanks for this.
Thank you.
Guys.
Number 3 all-time in receiving, although that may change today. Vince Danielson closing in on the sponge as Ronald Williams eats up some real estate.
This is what Ron Williams will bring you. The first tackler rarely will bring down Ron Williams, especially if you can get into the linebacking core. And this time it was Willie Fells who tried to put the hit on him and fell right off the legs of Ron Williams. He's very, very powerful when he hits the hole.
Leo Groenwagen is being alternated in on that offensive line. 11 yards the carry for Williams, and a first down for Edmonton. And back to the former Tiger Cat and Blue Bomber, who stretches out and is close to another first down. Looks like a gain of 9 for a man who was discarded by Ron Lancaster because he was a disruptive force in the head coach's eyes in Hamilton.
And if you talk to Williams, he'll tell you that they had a difference of opinion when it came to the offense that they were running in Hamilton. They started out this season running the ball more with Williams, sort of went away from it. He didn't like that, and he said it. And Ron Lancaster cut him because of it.
They call it 2nd and 2 on what should be the final play of the first quarter. Moss sneaking ahead, and I'm not sure if he's got it. There was a little bit more there than Moss may have anticipated.
Yeah, and I love what Dave Sapunja said about this Labor Day game and just how the adrenaline is pumping. It is an exciting football game to be around, no question.
And they are dead even after 15 minutes of football before a sellout crowd at McMahon. It's tied at 7 after 1 quarter here in Calgary.
The CFL on CBC, the road to the Grey Cup. Brought to you by Dodge. Grab life by the horns.
Well, if the first quarter's any indication, it should be another Labor Day classic.
Well, the numbers after 1 quarter, yards passing down for Calgary, but Calvin Anderson has been a big part of the offense early. Jason Moss getting it done, showing some good poise when Calgary is throwing some different defenses at him.
Crandall scoring on the ground, and Moss hooking up with Terry Vaughn through the air for the points in the opening quarter of play. So the Eskimos were short, and they're still a yard away on 3rd down to start this second quarter. And again, Moss plunging forward, and a flag is thrown. Looked like Moss got there for the necessary yardage.
9 times out of 10, this flag is offside defense.
Make it 10 out of 11.
Well, they try and anticipate that snap count.
Calgary, 76. First down.
Because really, if they don't, they're going to give up that yard. So Joe Fleming, Ray Jacobs, Mark Belon, and James Cotton up in there too close.
Saw Jim Daly beside Wally Buono. He's the coach of that defensive line. And Kelly Malvo comes in to join the Calgary defense as Moss goes to work 1st and 10 from midfield. Steps up and is tripped up as he crossed the center field stripe.
Boy, Joe Fleming is causing problems for the offensive line of the Edmonton Eskimos. They're trying right now to rotate the guards, bringing in George Hutchin, Leo Groenwagen. Joe Fleming is causing problems, and he's drawing the double team almost every play. And if he continues to draw the double team, as you see him get penetration up the middle and cause Jason Moss to take off running, he continues to draw that double team. Ray Jacobs and Cotton have one-on-ones on the outside, and it'll open things up for them.
2-time All-Canadian last year with the Stampeders in 1998 as well with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Joe Fleming. And now Moss on 2nd down has a completion, and Terry Vaughn is finally dragged down at the 35 as the Eskimos drive continues.
Pretty good protection up front for Jason Moss, and Vaughn took advantage of some aggressive play from Ricky Bell. Bell has been a guy that's come in from the XFL a year ago with the Calgary Stampeders, and he came in hitting people in training camp, but sometimes that can hurt you, and Vaughn just pushes off Ricky Bell and opens up in the curl.
52nd catch for Terry Vaughn, and that moves him ahead of Travis Moore. He's the #1 receiver right now in the CFL. Ron Williams down to the 31. Check that, Mark Norian, and that's his first carry.
Now, Mark Nora, he knows he has to take advantage of every opportunity he gets now, and he has taken the high road. I talked to him yesterday. He is upset, no question about it, that Ron Williams has taken his starting job, but he is willing to contribute to the success of the football team any way he can.
One of the reasons Mark signed with the Eskimos is they wanted him as a tailback and not a fullback where he had been slotted earlier. Now look at a lot of time for Moss in the pass. In behind the intended receiver, Hervey, incomplete, and that will bring up 3rd down.
There's a bunch of steamboats for Jason Moss on that play, and that's a pass he wants back. It looks like Ron Williams is really winded on that sideline. You could have sucking, trying to get every bit of oxygen he can. Look at the steamboats. This is Jason Moss. He goes front side of the play. That's to his left. There's 2 receivers over there, both recovered. Tried to go backside and just overthrew the target, Ed Hervey.
And that brings Sean Fleming in. 18 of 24 on the season. He's taken a little heat in Edmonton, but here's a guy that hasn't had goalposts to kick through almost the whole year in practice. Puts that through. Because of the World Track and Field, Fleming does the job there and gives the Eskimos the lead. Well, it's nothing new at McMahon, but the wind seems to be becoming more of a factor here. Glenn, it seemed to play a few tricks with that Sean Fleming field goal, and maybe that's why Moss overthrew Ed Hervey.
Yeah, the wind is in the face of the Edmonton Eskimos now, and that'll tend to push the ball high and cause it to sail a little bit on the quarterbacks.
Here's Antonio Warren from his 25. Great downfield coverage led by A.J. Gass, who in the first meeting of the year against Calgary registered 12 tackles.
You can always tell if teams are ready to play by the intensity level on the special teams, and right now it's as high as I've seen it all season long. A.J. Gass shoots the gap on Antonio Warren, who's been having a great year returning the football on kickoffs.
Was some question about how the Eskimos might respond today after a break and 3 consecutive losses, a little bit of turmoil in the Eskimo camp. They've looked good so far. Here's Crandall out of the shotgun. In some trouble, and he unloads the football, and they'll call him for grounding the ball as Brett Perry was bringing him to the turf.
The ball did not cross the line of scrimmage, but if there's a receiver in the area, and Marcus Crandall is complaining, saying that he had a receiver out there.
No infraction on the play.
There you go. There you go. If the ball is in behind the line of scrimmage and there's no receiver around, it's grounding. That's the block that caused the problems, or the miss block, I should say. Calvin Anderson on Fred Perry. He makes that block, and Marcus Crandall gets outside.
So 2nd and 10 for Crandall. And he talked about yesterday that the Stampeders have not been making the big play on 2nd down. They go outside, flag down, as Travis Moore has his first catch near a 1st down, but it's coming back on a holding call.
Calgary Stampeders going with the formation to get a one-on-one for Travis Moore, and we'll likely see a lot of that this afternoon.
Legal block to the face, Calgary, number 68. 2nd down.
Fred Childress called.
Big Fred Childress right at the top of your screen. Gets his hands up high.
On Robert Brown, who was turning up the heat off the edge. Brown with family from Mississippi who have driven up for this game. And now it's 2nd and 20. And the draw play to Kelvin Anderson isn't going anywhere. Stuffed Mobley was there. Doug Peterson.
Yeah, that's one of those plays from George Cortez. It's kind of like one of those cut your losses and punt the football kind of plays. Not many times are you going to get 20 yards on a draw play against the fired up Edmonton front seven. Probably the strength of their team right now is their front seven. And Calvin Anderson sees why it's the strength. He took a big hit in that hole.
So Ashley drops back, and O'Mani, he is in to punt on 3rd down for Calgary. The Stampeder rookie punter. And Ashley from his knees twists away from the first surge and is into the Calgary end of the field at the 50. A nifty 12-yard return after a 42-yard punt. With 10:38 to play in the first half, a 3-point Eskimo lead. Eskimo fans like what they see so far. Nighttime in the last 10 years. McMahon Stadium sold out for Labor Day. And it seems like we get the same weather every year. Beautiful day. Ron Williams back in after getting that breather, crashing down to the 46.
Yeah, the big guy always cooperates with the weather here in Calgary, and then next week in Edmonton, 5 days later, it's a downpour. That seems to be the way it goes. Ron Williams was out of breath on the sideline. He's got his breath. He's back in the game, but that's the luxury the Edmonton Eskimos now have with both Ron Williams and Mark Norris.
Ronald Williams runs for 4, 2nd and 6.
Eskimos break the huddle, 2nd and 6. Haven't seen it yet, but Williams a good receiver too, so they have to be wary of him at all times. Little mix up there, and Williams got the ball late and didn't get to the first down stick.
Yeah, this is going to happen a little bit. Ron Williams has not practiced with this offense very often. In fact, Tom Higgins was saying there's a couple of protection and a couple of plays that are numbered opposite to the Hamilton plays. Same kind of play, just different numbers, which means Ron Williams goes the wrong way, and I think that's what he did on this play. He's trying to figure out the number. The play just did not have the right timing, and that's why he's held short.
Same plays, different terminology, and in that case, a different direction. It means 3rd down and 3. And because of that stiff wind, they will not try a 50-yard field goal. Instead, Fleming into punt.
Number 11, Sean Fleming, his punt formation against the wind.
Can't draw the Stamps offside. That hangs up, and Warren, off his fingertips, made the catch, and a flag flies as Brett Perry was flying down there again. And now let's join Steve Armitage with the commissioner.
Thank you very much, Chris. I'm with Michael Ishko, the commissioner of the CFL. And Michael, you had your choice. You could have gone to Hamilton, but you picked McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Why is that?
Well, we're here putting the final touches on the transfer of the team to Mike Fetter. So I want to spend some time with he and Sig and see if we can help facilitate that process.
Chris Cuthbert and I spent the better part of last week in Ottawa. They're talking football like you wouldn't believe. Is that announcement imminent?
Well, we've spent the last several months trying to piece the four corners of this deal together, and I think we've found a group that we think is appropriate and has the financial wherewithal, the operating capability, and I'd say stay tuned.
Thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate this.
Thank you.
No, you agree, Glenn, that would be great news for this league to get back in the nation's capital?
Well, it truly is a sign of growth. You know, Ottawa never had bad fans, and they had enough fans to make it work there. They just had some bad ownership, and it looks like the league is making sure they are very careful about the owners that go in there in Ottawa, but I think it's going to happen, and I really look forward to it. It's a sign of growth for the Canadian Football League.
Stamp starting deep. There was no yards penalty called because the player that was inside that restraining area was blocked in, and that means 2nd and long. And a nice tackle there by Staten on Vince Danielson at the 20. And the Stamps come up short and have to punt.
Chris, Ralph Staten was jamming Vince Danielson from start to finish on that play. He did not let him get off the line of scrimmage, so Vince Danielson had to turn this pattern way shorter than it should have been. Another 6 yards gets Vince Danielson the first down, but Ralph Staten didn't let him get 6 yards down the field.
It has been a concern in Edmonton at times this year, the secondary, but that defense playing big in this first half here in Calgary today. So Manny in on third down. Ashley has to backpedal inside his 40. And Donnie Ashley hits a red wave there and is drilled back as the Eskimos take over. Eskimos take over, first down at their own 45. A quick hitter, that's Quincy Jackson, who takes over inside for the injured Kes McCorvey. Big loss for the Eskimos. McCorvey tied for the league lead last year in touchdown catches, but they do think that Jackson is an impressive replacement.
Yeah, Kes McCorvey, one of the better route runners in the league, but they do like what they see in Quincy Jackson playing in his third game, played 2 games previous to this, BC and Hamilton.
2nd and 3. And Moss rolling out right side, and Terry Vaughn will cut it back. And Vaughn dragged down at the 30 by Joe Barnes, or he might have had his second touchdown of the day.
Jason Moss just waits long enough for Terry Vaughn to open up. And you know one thing with Terry Vaughn, he kind of went to the Terry Vaughn Travis Moore school of yak yards, meaning yards after the catch. You have got to tackle Terry Vaughn, and you got to gang tackle him. A lot of receivers, when they feel contact, they go down. Not Terry Vaughn. You got to bring him down.
27 yards. The Eskimos threatening again. Moss with time and with Vaughn down to the 15, and Barnes has trouble dragging him down. Terry Vaughn trying to extend that unbeaten streak on Labor Day, and he's already had a big game.
Chris, Greg Frères is struggling right now moving on the football field. He was in one-on-one getting ready to tackle Terry Vaughn and hold him about 3 or 4 yards shorter after this catch than the yards he achieved. Look at this. He's going to turn around, and when he catches the ball, he freezes Greg Frères. He makes that one cut on that right calf, and he can't move to make the tackle.
Terry Vaughn's 4th catch, 92 yards, first down Edmonton at the 11. Moss has Jackson tackled by Barnes at the 2.
You know, the other thing that may become a bigger part of this game as it progresses with Greg Frères is that when you have a leg injury at the safety position, you have to make a decision quick and then stick with it. You can't recover if you make a mistake. You just can make one cut. That time, Greg Frères went to the opposite side of the field immediately, and Jason Moss knows it won't take much to move him out of the middle of the field.
It's 2nd and 1. They need 2 for the touchdown. And they give it to Daniels, and the former Stamp is in. Touchdown, Edmonton.
The Edmonton Eskimos this season have been terrible when they get inside the 20-yard line. Coming into this game, just 20% of the time have they scored majors, 3 out of 15. Well, this kind of production in this game can change that in a hurry.
Well, they get into the red end zone, courtesy of Daniels. Both touchdowns coming from former Stamps, as the Eskimos increase their lead. 4:39 to play in the first half. Green and gold look sharp and lead by 10. Second touchdown of the year for the 13-year veteran, Sean Daniels.
Well, if you're going to run in the middle against this Calgary defense, you got to control this guy right here. That's Joe Fleming, and watch Tim Baker get that job done, number 50. He gets his head across on Joe Fleming. That creates enough of a seam for Sean Daniels to hit that end zone.
Baker, the second-year man out of Western Ontario. Fleming high. There may be a play for Edmonton on this football. And I think Calgary got back on it, but using that wind, Fleming gives the return team fits with that kickoff.
It's called the sky ball. You just kick it up high, and it will hang up there for a long, long time.
Well, Terry Bond big on the scoring drive by the Eskimos.
Yeah, yak yards after the catch. That was a 7-yard throw, and look at how much he picked up on his own, and here he goes again. About a 10-yard throw, maybe 12 this time, and another 7 or 8 after the fact leads to the touchdown.
And if Jason Moss keeps playing like that, we're going to have to yak about him a whole lot more.
Let's just keep yakking.
Here's Anderson, and again, Fred Perry. Low bridge, and down goes Kelvin.
You talked about the Calgary offensive game plan to give Calvin Anderson the ball to the right side, but a receiver is always coming in behind Marcus Crandall. On that last play, it was Mark Boerichter, and he was wide open had Crandall decided to pull the ball and hand it to him. Boerichter had come the opposite way. You see 89 in your screen up high. He's going to go back in that huddle and mention that.
That's the third time we have seen that look in the first half. Blitz is on. Crandall steps up, looking for Travis Moore, who stretched out but couldn't reach it, and there is a flag on the play.
Terry Ray came right down Main Street and hit Jamie Crysdale, the center, and he knocked him back about 4 or 5 yards.
Call going against the Eskimos that will prolong this drive.
Legal contact on the receiver. Edmonton, number 16. Second down.
So a 10-yard penalty.
Cordell Taylor is the extra defensive back for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Down over, and it's 2nd and 2.
See the left arm up around the shoulder pads of Travis Moore. He's trying to shake the coverage, and that's a call that has to be made.
So 2nd and a pair. Crandall, a quick hit over the middle. Tuncaro with the catch, and he busts it. Dragged down at the 28-yard line. If Tuncaro only his 4th catch of the year, and there's an injured Stampeder on the play.
Camu Peterson, I believe, was trying to make a block down the field, and he got caught up in the tackle, and it looked like he got his legs rolled on from behind by his teammate Tunkara. Here comes the play. Tunkara again, he's taking a page out of the Terry Vaughn book, making yards after the catch, and then watch at the end of the play, he's going to roll in the back of the legs of Peterson. Right there. The knees go down hard. Peterson blocking Perry Carter at the time.
So Peterson gets attention from Pat Clayton. 33-yard gain for the Stampeders. They try to get back in this game, trailing by 10. Camu Peterson went off under his own power after a big first down play by Tunkara that gives Calgary the ball inside the Edmonton 30. Crandall steps up, and he is nailed as he hit the line of scrimmage by the always active Fred Perry.
Travis Moore, I believe, was the intended receiver coming short across the field, and he got caught in too much traffic.
So it will be 2nd down when we return. The 3-minute warning being given to the benches here in the first half. 17-7 Edmonton.
The CFL on CBC. The road to the Grey Cup. Brought to you by bumper to bumper. The Auto Parts Professionals.
Two minutes, 51 seconds remaining in the first half at McMahon Stadium. The home team trying to play catch-up. 2nd and 11 from the Edmonton 28. 5 receivers out and a completion to Moore. And at the 15-yard line, he'll have a first down.
Marcus Crandall's hanging on to his neck. Travis Moore is going to be the feature receiver on the backside of this formation. They've tried to put 4 receivers to the left side away from Moore and leave Travis with the one-on-one. This time it's on Frederick Lewis, and he's just going to get outside position, and the ball is on time. When he turns around, that ball is already gone.
13 yards there for Moore, who is on pace for his best year ever in the CFL. Little strength to the right side, but they toss to the left. Moore is outside, trying to get to the corner, cut off, but driven out at the 3.
That's the variation of the play we just talked about. Calvin Anderson to the right side. Calvin Anderson to the right side. Always that receiver, either Travis Moore or Mark Boerichter coming back the opposite way, and it's from the bunch formation. Here comes Travis Moore this way. Calvin Anderson all game has been running that way. There's the fake, there's the toss, and it opens up. You know, Mark Boerichter about 5 plays ago went to the huddle and say, guys, it is there if we want to run it.
Ralph Staten saves the touchdown, but it is a first down, and the Calgary march has reached the Edmonton 4-yard line. Last time they got this deep, Crandall ran it in himself. First and goal, Stamps. Same formation. They fake to Anderson. Crandall into the end zone. Touchdown! Tunkara with his first CFL touchdown.
In that offensive set for the Calgary Stampeders. The first phase is the run to Calvin Anderson. The second phase is the reverse to the receivers, and this is the third phase. Play action, throw the football, and that bunch, who have been blocking all game long, take off into the patterns.
Nice play on that high snap by Frederick to bring it down. The extra point good. The Stampeders within 3. Tunkara made a big play to get it deep into the Calgary zone, and then he got it into the end zone too.
Well, the master at work, George Cortez, as Marcus Crandall gets some medical attention on the sideline. We saw him holding his neck during that series. Good poise. He had a little bit of pressure on him. But the master, the offensive coordinator, George Cortez, on the sideline has put 3 new wrinkles in a formation that Calgary has run all season long.
It's like they're checking the collarbone of Crandall on a nick that happened much earlier in that drive. That was a good illustration, though, of the progression in the game plan for Crandall and the Stampeders offense as George Cortez mapped it out.
Well, Ben Sankey has not had a lot of reps this season. He started the year. He would be the backup quarterback should Marcus Crandall not be able to go back in the game. But that final throw looked like a strong one. This is the throw that he hurt his arm. It just looked like he pulled a muscle up there and he grabbed his neck right away.
So McLaughlin has to get some assistance on this kickoff, and it is Camu Peterson. So he's all right after being shaken up a little earlier on that scoring march. Donnie Ashley finds a seam and is out near the 45-yard line. 33 yards on the kickoff return. Let's join Steve Armitage.
Chris, coming up at halftime, we'll feature the man who was instrumental on that last drive for the Stampeders, Travis Moore. Glenn will have highlights from here, and we'll show you how the Ticats beat the Argos in the first half of the double.
Tough times continue for the Toronto Argonauts. Travis Moore and company getting back in this one.
You start to wonder about Mike Clemens in Toronto and whether or not he will continue as the head coach with that football team.
That radiant smile was not in evidence today. Hervey shakes one. Flag down as Hervey turned it up. And it looked like Quincy Jackson got a grab on somebody trying to help his teammate.
If Ed Hervey is running curl patterns, and that's just about down about 8 yards and turning and curling back towards the quarterback, if that's what he's running, he is setting up the defensive back for the deep route. He loves to go downtown.
7 catches over 40 yards, 4 over 50.
Holding, Edmonton, number 6. First down repeated.
And it was Jackson on the hold, and that brings it back to the 36 of Edmonton. So it will be first down over and 20 for the all-white clad Eskimos. You like to make a statement on Labor Day, and for the Eskimos this year, a fashion statement.
Well, they're ahead, so we'll just say it's okay so far.
It's apparently working. There's Moss over the middle. There's the speedy Hervey. And the USC sprinter is high-stepping again.
Watch him outrun the angle of Ricky Bell. Football is all about angles, and Ricky Bell had the angle to cut Ed Hervey off. Hervey outrun the angle.
Well, he has that great speed, and in reference to the track and field championships in Edmonton in August, he can make up the stagger in a hurry.
75 against Calgary, 45 against Calgary. That's 2 big plays against the Calgary Stampeders, both for touchdowns.
And that, for all intents and purposes, ended Jack Kellogg's tenure in Calgary. Pass over the middle, complete to Rick Walters.
Yeah, it did that, and it also basically gave Jason Moss the starting job at quarterback, beating out Nealon Green. It was that game when he came off the bench in week 3, engineered a couple of pretty good drives and threw that ball deep very well to Ed Hervey.
There's Nealon Green on the sidelines. A lot of talk about a quarterbacking controversy in Edmonton, but the way Moss is playing, there will be no controversy. He has looked sharp. Mind you, the Eskimos led BC 17-0 last week and let it get away, and Vaughn unable to bring in that pass on 2nd and 5.
Again, pressure up front from Joe Fleming, who shifts before the snap and then hits the gap that he shifted from. No, that's easier said than done, but what happens is he takes a gap to his right, moves over, and then hits right in the middle, and he forces a quick throw from Jason Moss. Right at the bottom of that pile at Moss's feet is Joe Fleming, and the ball goes over the hands thrown behind Terry Vaughn. Sometimes you don't need to make the sack, you just need to rush the quarterback.
Minute 38 to go, first half. A 3-point Edmonton lead, and again with the breeze in his face, Fleming not even considering a long field goal in the punt. Warren. And Antonio Warren up to the 17 as he weaved his way for 7. 32-yard punt by Fleming into that breeze.
Well, the battle for field position becomes that much more important with the wind factor. So we will see both teams hunting the ball when they may have lined up normally for field goals, not just because they don't know if their field goal kickers can make it that far, but also to keep that field position advantage.
Well, let's see what Crandall can do now. He has some time to work with to draw even or perhaps even give Calgary a lead at halftime. The ball on the Stamps 19. Empty backfield. And a completion to Anderson, who dropped the ball. And the Eskimos look like they're on it. E.J. Gass comes up with it.
By formation, the Calgary Stampeders wanted to put Calvin Anderson in a one-on-one situation on A.J. Gass, and it looked like it was a play that was going to be successful on first down. Calvin Anderson comes out of the backfield, lines up way outside the wide receiver Travis Moore, but A.J. Gass and Singor Mobley win the battle inside. Mobley's pursuit, he's the guy who tackles the football. It pops out of there, and Edmonton wins the scramble for it.
The usually reliable Anderson cops it up, and A.J. Gass comes up with a football, and now the Eskimos have a chance to build on their lead before the half. Ronald Williams, the ball carrier.
Well, turnover is also a problem for the Calgary Stampeders this year. They are a -7, which is 7th in the CFL. And over the last 10 years, the Calgary Stampeders have never been in the negative category.
2nd and 6 for the youngster Moss. Throwing behind Herbie, and incomplete. So it'll be 3rd down, and Fleming likely to come on to attempt a 29-yarder.
The Calgary defense bends a little bit, but doesn't break. After the turnover, you always want to take advantage of it. You get serious momentum if you can throw that major in there right after a turnover, but Calgary sort of weathers the storm. Even if Sean Fleming makes his field goal, it's a victory for the Calgary defense on that sudden change of possession.
Made one earlier, missed a 28-yarder last week. Moss, the new holder. And Fleming missed it to the left. And a point quickly conceded. 47 seconds left in the half as Frères puts the knee down, and the Eskimos lead is 4. But that's a little bit of a moral victory for the Stampeders.
Oh, absolutely. A big-time victory for that defense, and that's why the pressure's on Sean Fleming. He has been inconsistent inside of 40 yards. He's just hitting on 70%. Again, he was into the wind, but that was a field goal kick that he should have made. Inside of 40, you want 100% out of your kickers. Outside of 40, you can live with, some problems. That's sort of a 50-50 proposition depending on how far you get out. But inside of 40, you got to be automatic, and Fleming hasn't been this year.
So let's see how the Stamps play this. They scrimmage from their own 35, 4 receivers right, flag down, and Sankey in. Ben Sankey in for the injured Crandall. So apparently that collarbone that they were checking, or shoulder, is enough of a problem to pull Crandall out of the game, at least for the time being.
Ben Sankey, I mentioned, started game 1 for Calgary. It was a loss versus the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. In that game, he hurt the thumb on his throwing hand. Really hasn't had a whole lot of reps since then.
Looked like he had won the job in camp, and then very quickly into the opening game, injured, and Crandall seized the moment and has been the man ever since.
7 of 14 this year, and that's not very many reps for your backup quarterback.
2nd and 17. Sankey. Tunkara off the shoe tops has the catch at the 32, but he'll be well short of a first down with 21 seconds left. And
Mark Bohlrichter, Chris, was on the 30-yard line. Vince Danielson is wide open. Mark Bohlrichter down the sideline is wide open, and he was seriously frustrated. The coverage is dropped right there, and look at him waving his arms. I am open. He's frustrated. He throws his hand down, and he will go and chat with both quarterbacks, I'm sure. He has been open all season.
I was going to say, this is a replay, because it has been the story for Bohlrichter all season long. after 63 catches and over 1,000 yards in receiving last year, and he is doing a slow burn on that Stampeders sideline. And again, he just wants to be a part of it, and for whatever reason, the Stamps have not been able to find him. The Stamps quarterbacks have not been able to find him.
Well, George Cortez says it's partly due to the nature of his position. In '98, Travis Moore played that spot and finished 5th in the receiving corps.
Ashley takes the line drive kick, and look out! Donnie Ashley, flag went down. As Ashley scampers by O'Mani and will score, but it's all for naught. They've been waiting for him to bust one, and unfortunately for Donnie Ashley, that dance is going to be preempted. 82 yards on the return, and it's coming back.
Mark Nora with a slight grab is going to be the reason this one's coming back. It wasn't very much, but it was enough to draw the flag.
Tripping, Edmonton, number 22, first down.
Well, I wasn't sure that it was a tripping. It was more of just a grab by Mark Nora. And he knows it. It's right up at the top of your screen, right in here. Watch Mark Nora with that left arm just grab the shirt right there. I believe it was of Scott Dybert. He gets to the outside. That's why it's coming back.
I'm sure it was a trip, but it was an infraction. And that great Donnie Ashley kick return goes for naught, and it's going to be a 4-point Eskimo lead at the half. They've got to kill the final 2 seconds as both teams are starting to make their way for the lockers. Knee down, and that'll do it for an entertaining first half. And the Eskimos not only have the lead, but outplayed the Stampeders. Let's join Steve Armitage.
Thank you very much, Chris. I'm with the head coach of the Eskimos, Tom Higgins. Tom, I was impressed with the running of Ronald Williams. Your thoughts?
He can run the football. There's no question he's a very good football player and running back, and it's going to give us a little bit of an advantage because you got to be able to run the football. The wind is going to be a factor in this football game.
Jason Moss looked like a 20-year pro, not a 2-year pro.
Well, he's very mature. There's no question about it, and that's why he has the reins right now.
Congratulations on a first half. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
The Edmonton Eskimos and Tom Higgins head to the dressing room here at McMahon Stadium with a 4-point lead. They lead 18-14 of the Stampeders at the half. Well, if you were wondering why they called it the Labor Day Classic here in Calgary every year, I think you got a pretty good example in that first half. It's the Eskimos leading the Stampeders by 4, entertaining football. Well, back in the 90s, the Calgary Stampeders dominated this series, and they were knee-deep in receivers with some of the all-time greats. But this year, they only have one receiver on track for a 1,000-yard season, and that's Travis Moore. But these days, Travis Moore has more on his mind than just yardage. Heading into the game this afternoon, Moore was #1 in pass receiving. The 32-year-old from Santa Monica has appeared in over 90 CFL games and has won 2 Grey Cups, but downplays his role as the Stamps' key receiver.
I don't like to consider myself the go-to guy. I think I just try to consider myself as a part of the receiving corps, and I'm doing my job when my number is called. I'm my worst critic, you know, and I don't let anything else bother me outside of that. So I leave it at that, and I go out there and play hard, and I take the little bumps and bruises. If me didn't want to come down on the receiving corps, I'll take that, and I'll ride with it.
Way deep for Travis Moore, and he is gone.
2 summers ago, football and life were one and the same for Moore. In August of '99, his brother Calvin, a safety with the NFL Cincinnati Bengals, suffered a neck injury. At that moment, 2 lives changed dramatically. Suddenly, there was more to life than just football for Travis.
The doctor told us if he would have breathed in the wrong way or something while he was unconscious, knocked out, he could have died. I mean, so that's really scary, especially me playing football. Wasn't sure if I really wanted to play anymore. He gave me the courage, him and my mother, to go back out and play. it'll help him. And that's why I'm still doing this, for him, my family, and then myself.
It's a lot to go with Travis. You know, he's very, intelligent, smart. You know, he knows what he wants out of life. He take, everything else, like I say, full speed, head on. He don't really dodge too many things. And, that's what we was brought up, basically, just put God first and everything will be all right.
Show him you can kick. Back up. Go ahead, kick. Oh, yeah.
Without my family, I would be nothing. I have a very lovely wife, a beautiful son. My mom, my dad, and my brother stick behind me in everything I do. So without my family, I'd be nothing.
Good one.
This is the way we was brought up. Just go for it all. Don't hold back. And that's what he do. That's the way we work out together. It's like, just go. Full speed all the time, And finally, it paid off. He's starting to get a little recognition for it, and guys are starting to notice. So that's good. You feel good about that now.
You look at your opponents and everything, and you make sure that you go out there and you play 100%. You can't worry about what did happen in the past to family members or friends. And so you just got to go out there with the courage and God blessing over you, and go out there and play as hard as you can.
Calvin Moore, definitely an inspiration for his brother Travis, and Travis playing with some inspiration today. One catch for 13 yards, but the Stampeders trail the Eskimos at the half by 4, 18-14. It's sold out here at McMahon Stadium in Calgary this afternoon, and the fans are getting their money's worth. The Eskimos leading the Stampeders by a score of 18-14. Well, the first half of the doubleheader, the CFL on CBC today, saw Hamilton entertaining the Argos. That was Archie Emerson giving the Ticats a 10-3 lead over the Argos. A little bit of celebrating on the part of the Ticats there. Danny McManus pulling the trigger here on a pass to Andrew Gregg. This one covering 18 yards, and that put the Ticats in full control. The score then 23-5. Well, it wouldn't be a football game in the Steel City on Labor Day without some strong defense, and Joe Montford provided that for the Ticats this afternoon. 1 of 2 sacks. Here's the second sack for Montford. The Ticats on a bit of a roll now. The Argos continue to struggle. Hamilton wins the Labor Day Classic in Hamilton 26-13. Here in Calgary, it is 18-14 favor the Stampeders, down by 4 to the Edmonton Eskimos. Now let's get some thoughts from Chris and Glenn.
Well, Steve, the Eskimos trying to shake a 3-game losing streak, and when they were beaten by BC, Tom Higgins, their coach, admitted after the game that it doesn't get much lower as far as the team morale. A lot of people wondered how they'd show up today, and I think we saw the answer in the first half.
Well, 2 things showed you the answer. One was the intensity on special teams. I thought Edmonton came with great intensity in that area of the football game, and also believe that the play of your team is a reflection of your leaders. And Jason Moss, early in the game, took off running and didn't hook slide. He took some big hits to get first downs, and I think that's a reflection of how they're ready to play today.
Second-year man in just his 3rd start, and he did play a leadership role in that first half. Let's take a look at the highlights.
Well, I think the running game for both teams has been a key. Ron Williams into the lineup. Now, he hasn't got a whole bunch of yards, but he's touched the ball 8 times and provided balance to the Edmonton offense, and that has led to some more time for Jason Moss. And when you get time, you can throw the touchdown strike. This one to Terry Vaughn to give the Edmonton Eskimos their first major of the football game. And it's worked the same way with the Calgary Stampeders, which is why we have such a close game. Calvin Anderson, 8 carries in the first half. Now, he's not got a lot of yards either, but the balance in the offense has been the difference, and it's led to some play-action opportunities for the Calgary Stampeders. Like this one in Calgary's first major, where Crandall fakes it to Calvin Anderson and takes it in for the score.
Second touchdown for Calgary, a Crandall roll and then a throw into the end zone, and Tunkara has his first touchdown as a CFL player. A 4-point Edmonton lead at the half as we rejoin Steve.
Well, Chris, if the first half was any indication, we will be entertained in the second half here at McMahon. The Eskimos with a 4-point lead on the Stampeders.
$35,967, the customary sellout crowd at McMahon Stadium on Labor Day. And the home side trailing the Eskimos by 4, and the numbers a little more lopsided than that.
Well, you see net yards almost double for the Edmonton Eskimos. That leads to more time of possession at the bottom of your screen at 17 minutes, 45 seconds, which means the Calgary Stampeders defense is on the field a whole long time in that first half.
Those are the numbers through 30 minutes. Let's check in with Steve Armitage.
With me now, Stampeders head coach Wally Buono. Wally, there were lots of positives for the Stampeders out there, but what are the negatives that you have to address in the second half?
Well, I think one of the big negatives is staying on the field offensively. Offensively, they got a lot of weapons, and the more we're on the field, the tougher it's going to be. So the big thing right now is our offense put a drive together, which is good, but we got to stay on the field so it's balanced.
What's the status of Marcus Crandall?
Well, right now, Marcus looks like he's out. He bruised his shoulder, and it's having a hard time throwing, so we want to just keep him out and let Ben play.
Wally, good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
So Marcus Crandall apparently will not continue, and there's Ben Sankey, who finished up late in that first half, loosening up with a chance to reclaim a job he thought he had won in the preseason.
Well, he really did. He had a tremendous training camp. Before training camp began, Wally Buono was looking at Marcus Crandall as the leader of this football team, and this is the numbers how they compare after a half of football. Jason Moss putting together a pretty good game. But Crandall had won the job before camp from what he had done in the past. A little more experience than Ben Sankey. But training camp changed the mind of Wally Buono until Sankey hurt his thumb.
News gets worse for the Stampeders fans as we're told that Vince Danielson has strained a hamstring. He will not be back this afternoon, and Mark McLaughlin kicks it off into that wind. Eskimos get the ball in the wind in the third quarter. As Calgary deferred in the first half, they want the wind in the final quarter. Kelly Lockbaum, the former BC Lion, in on the special teams tackle of Donnie Ashley.
Well, and to defer and give the football back to the Edmonton Eskimos to start the second half puts more pressure on that Calgary defense, especially the way Jason Moss has been playing. We saw the numbers. He had a good first half. He's got great balance in his offense, as you can see. 17 rushes, 17 passes.
And Moss had back-to-back 300-yard passing games prior to his injury early in the Hamilton game.
Number 20, Ronald Williams.
Short carry for Ronald Williams.
Well, it's a short carry because of number 76 wearing the red jerseys right now. Joe Fleming pushed the line of scrimmage back 4 or 5 yards and controlled his gap. In fact, he helped out all the other gaps around him. Ron Williams just had nowhere to go. You're going to see 76 controlling his man right in the middle of your frame. That's Tim Baker.
So it's 2nd and 9. Moss to the air. Terry Vaughn has the catch. And Vaughn has the first down as he steps into Calgary territory.
Terry Vaughn made a wise decision. He thought about going back towards the middle of the field, but that's where all the Calgary Stampeders' help is coming from. He's got a one-on-one if he stays outside, and what a day he's putting together.
4th 100-yard game of the year for Terry Vaughn. Talked to him yesterday about the turmoil in Edmonton, and he said nothing else bad can happen. It's all happened.
It's all up from here.
Fumble there. Something bad happened for the Eskimos, but Moss gets back on the football. But the dust apparently settled after the 4-day break, and you've gone through the wars in the CFL. That little break prior to Labor Day weekend seems to refresh everybody.
Well, it really does. It gives you a chance to heal up if you have any nicks, any injuries that are, have occurred throughout the first half of the season. And you're right, you're heading into Labor Day, and it's the key point of the season. There's no question about it. Especially if you win back-to-back games here if you're one of these two teams.
Eskimos did that last year, first time since 1990. 2nd and long, and the pass behind Ed Hervey and almost picked off by Ricky Bell.
Ricky Bell would have had the interception, but he was content to try and hit Ed Hervey had he caught the football. And every defensive back on pretty much every play that's thrown at him goes through the decision process. Do I go for the hit? Do I go for the tackle? Or do I go for the football? The hit was one of those glory shots. And I think Ricky Bell looked up and thought, I'm going to try and knock Ed Hervey out. The ball came loose and he didn't have time to react.
He's the guy that knocked Damon Allen out for 5 or 6 weeks.
Oh, baby.
Fleming to Warren, who let it go off his shoe tops and through the end zone for a single point. 75-yard punt with the wind at his back for Sean Fleming and a 5-point Eskimo lead.
Hi, I'm Dave Dickinson. A half century of excellence, the CFL and CBC. Lots of great memories.
Well, Dave Dickinson gave us some Labor Day memories. One of 4 former Calgary Stampeder quarterbacks that are currently in the NFL. Dickinson, Flutie, Garcia, and Burris all making the cut.
Number 32, Calvin Anderson, the ball carrier.
Kelvin Anderson the carry, Shannon Garrett in on the tackle.
Kelvin Anderson becomes even more of a key now with Ben Sankey running the offense. And throughout the season, George Cortez has gone away from Kelvin Anderson in the second half. You can see his carries drop in half, but his average stays the same. So Kelvin Anderson, or in fact goes up. He's doing his thing. He's just not seeing the ball as much in the second half, and it's hurt Calgary.
I'm wondering if we won't see him more in this second half because Ben Sankey needs him. They fake to Anderson. Sankey on a roll, looking downfield, and there's a mugging down there as Bo Richter was all wrapped up by Cordell Taylor, who could only smile about the tackle before the ball arrived.
Well, there's coaches that think every rookie that you have in your lineup will cost you 1 game. That is one of the rookies for the Edmonton Eskimos in the lineup, and that was a rookie mistake.
Forward pass interference. Edmonton, number 16. First down.
There is no reason for Cordell Taylor to grab Mark Boerichter. He couldn't come back to catch that ball anyway.
Just talking about that kind of play with Tom Higgins yesterday. Coverage is perfect.
That's right. He's right there. He panicked at the point when the ball arrived.
Coach makes note of that, and it's a first down for Calgary at the 45. Sankey play action. Now steps up, and the release man is Aubrey Cummings, his first catch of the game. And another Calgary first down.
Well, again, involving Kelvin Anderson in play action and then moving the pocket around. And this is one thing that Ben Sankey can do just as well, if not better, than Marcus Crandall, and that's use his legs. Moves the pocket around, comes back to the original side of the play, and finds a little throwing lane to Aubrey Cummings.
Aubrey Cummings had his best game in the CFL last Labor Day with 7 catches for 96. And the Stampeders now down to the Edmonton 27. There's that set to the left side. Early movement. Sankey brought down, and the flags are all over the carpet.
Well, Doug Peterson, Terry Ray, and Fred Perry decided to call a meeting at Ben Sankey prior to the snap of the football. Now, were they drawn offside?
Number 28.
No.
First down,
It was Terry Ray. He's been moving around in that linebacking core all afternoon. He's been very active. One of the wrinkles from this Edmonton defense is to move him around and blitz him from different spots, and he gets inside that neutral zone off the edge.
So it's 1st and 5 for Sankey and the Stamps. Anderson, the lone setback. He gets the ball and has a hole. Kelvin Anderson thunders to the 7.
This play all works because of a numbers game. And I'm talking about just counting people that are there to make the tackle on Kelvin Anderson. The fullback, Scott Regenbach, left the backfield, and that took Terry Ray at the top of your screen out of the picture. That's one less linebacker for Kelvin Anderson to beat. And when you run the ball and there's only one more linebacker to block, you're going to get a chance for your running back to get some positive yards.
1st and goal, Calgary. Again, Anderson to the 4. Fred Perry hanging on.
Once again, we saw it once in the first half. Travis Moore coming around the formation as Kelvin Anderson takes it up the middle. We've seen 3 parts of this formation. We've seen the running game to Calvin. We've seen the play action with the reverse to the receiver and the passing game out of the play action as well. Which one will it be this time?
Second and goal from the 4. Reginbold in motion. Play action. Wide open. Tunkara. Touchdown. What a catch. He was so wide open, Sankey thought he better make him work for it.
Those are the ones that you're standing there as a receiver going, this ball cannot come down fast enough. Tunkara is wide open, and it's phase 3 of that formation that gets it done again for the Calgary Stampeders.
Stamps back on top for the first time since the opening score of the game. McLaughlin adds the extra point. And it's a 2-point lead for the Stamps on the second touchdown of the game for Tunkara. If Tunkara matching the number on his jersey with his second touchdown catch of the game and of his career. You think he's going to remember Labor Day?
No question. Tunkara is the third option, number 2, right there in your screen. The play action once more to Calvin Anderson. Look at the time and the throwing lane that Ben Sankey has. And then you're right, he makes him work for it a little bit. That's a tough catch, especially when you're wide open.
Looked like Tony Champion in the '89 Grey Cup, but you don't want me to talk about that.
Well, the catch, you know, that one hurt, but the final was fine.
Yeah, I thought that'd be okay. Here's Ashley, flags flying again, and Donnie Ashley's been an inspired returner. Had one called back in the first half. And Ben Sankey is right in this game now.
That's
in relief.
Yeah, sorry, Chris. That's a confidence builder when you can put 7 plays together as the backup quarterback hasn't played a whole lot all season long. The importance of Calvin Anderson. This is George Cortez, the master offensively, putting together a game plan that provides 3 options out of the same formation. That's been the third option, the throw to Tunkara. It's worked twice for touchdown.
Major foul, face mask, Edmonton, number 23. First down.
Shannon Garrett called on a face mask on the Edmonton return, and that'll back things up for the green and gold. And our spotter Larry Mueller makes the good point, Glenn. That was also a score into the teeth of the wind for the Stampeders. Although the wind seems to fluctuate here, and right now the flag's not quite as active as they've been. Ron Williams crashing to the 30 and trying to recharge his team's batteries.
And I like what Edmonton does, though. They don't panic. They stick with their game plan, which is Ronald Williams, especially Ronald Williams on first down. We talked about the importance of it right at the beginning of the show. Jason Maas has struggled in the last couple of games. If he gets in second and medium, it takes the pressure off him. So they're not abandoning the game plan just yet, and they shouldn't.
Ball at the 29. It's 2nd and 6 for the Eskimos. Short drop, guns another completion to Terry Vaughn. And his forward progress should be enough for a first down.
Slow to get up in behind the play was Tim Baker, and he has been working one-on-one with Joe Fleming all afternoon, and that's going to take a lot out of the best of them.
Ricky Bell is also been shaken up on this play. One of the young players in the rebuilt secondary for the Calgary Stampeders, with Bell, William Fields, and Joe Barnes all new to the Calgary secondary for this Labor Day.
And Wally Buono feels that all 3 are keepers, especially Ricky Bell, who has some National Football League experience, played over in Europe, Barcelona, and also in the XFL. He earned a spot in training camp in about 3 or 4 reps. Came up and jammed in one play in training camp. You can see him get rolled on right there at the bottom of that pile. One play in training camp, he jammed Mark Bolrichter. They got in a fight, and he basically made the team right there.
And this was the tackle on Damon Allen. Here it's got Russell talk to Damon today at Ivor Wynn in Hamilton, and he'll be on the sidelines, sidelining what looked like it might be an MVP year for the Grey Cup hero of a year ago.
And there goes Tim Baker, the Edmonton Eskimos guard, who they've been rotating. That's the good news for Edmonton. They still have George Hudson and Leo Groenwagen, the veteran, but it's been a long afternoon for Tim Baker, who's had to go one-on-one with Joe Fleming.
Hudson goes in at right guard. Kelly Malvo replaces Ricky Bell for Calgary, 1st and 10. And Williams hit the line hard, and in turn, he hit in there against Alondra Johnson.
Johnson comes up from the linebacking core, and Fleming plugs the hole up front, working on Val St. Germain, and the two work in tandem. And they have been the strength of this Calgary defense all season long. Joe Fleming crashes down on Val St. Germain right in the middle of that picture and basically closes the hole. You see him fall on top of him along with Alondra Johnson.
2nd and 5. Moss, the long out. It's complete. But Terry Vaughn isn't going anywhere, and he'll be stopped short. You talk about the yak yards he is known for. Well, Joe Barnes stopped the yakking that time.
Yeah, well, that is an unbelievable open tackle. Open field tackle. Because, like you mentioned, Terry Vaughn is the master at it. He's not very tall. Terry Vaughn just 5'8". He has a low center of gravity and great leg strength. That's why he is so good at the run after the catch. And that's why that's a big, big tackle in the open field.
Forces the Eskimos into a punting situation. Fleming back in, Warren deep. 6.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. High kick, and the wind takes it a little further. And it bounces through the end zone for another single point. That's the second single of the second half for Sean Fleming. '71-yard single by Sean Fleming. So it's 21-20 Calgary. And the Stamps get the ball at the 35, and Terry Ray stepped up and knocks Anderson back.
You know, that's back-to-back big, long punts from Sean Fleming, but those are not punts that he wanted. Single point at this point in the game doesn't make much difference, but if you can pin the Calgary Stampeders back deeper, you win the field position battle.
Well, with that wind at his back and a couple of good Calgary pops, took the ball through the end zone and gives Ben Sankey a little bit better real estate to work in here as he looks at 2nd and 11. Here comes the rush, and they wrap up Sankey. Fred Perry led the surge.
Here's why, Chris, because had that same sequence of plays happen for the Edmonton defense, back-to-back stops right there, but that ball was put out inside the 10 by Sean Fleming. Now Calgary is kicking into the wind. They're probably giving up the safety anyway, so you get your 2 points, and if they do kick it, Edmonton is taking possession on Calgary's half of the field. So that's how important those small things are. Sean Fleming's singles really should have gone out of bounds.
4th sack of the year for Perry. And O'Mani back in. 1-point game. O'Mani pulled down the high snap, and a good line drive punt. Ashley picks it up at the 33. And Donnie Ashley springs it for a few more. Flag went down on the play as the Stampeder was inside that 5-yard area. 48-yard punt, 17 on the return for Ashley. One-point game late in the third quarter here in Calgary as the Stampeders bounce back in the third quarter after a 4-point halftime deficit. And again, they'll regroup and do it again next Friday when you guys invade Edmonton. So folks up in northern Alberta better be aware of that. And there is completion to Jackson. As he caught the ball, it looked like Anthony Pryor was sizing up a lengthy interception return the other way.
Yeah, he took a chance at the football. Anthony Pryor broke downhill, and he just decided, I'm gambling for this football. If I get it, we're going the other way for 6. If I don't, they may. And just because Quincy Jackson fell out of bounds was the only reason this is not a touchdown. Watch 37 just decide that he's going after that football.
Gain of 21, and it's a first down at the Calgary 40. Ron Williams tripped up as he hit the line of scrimmage. James Cotton, the newcomer out of Ohio State, was able to get an arm on the legs of Ronald Williams.
And coaches love to use this term, but this is what they use with James Cotton. He's a player. Guy's a player. 5 sacks on the season. And he's going to be one of the dominant ends in the Canadian Football League the longer he plays.
They call him the perfect CFL type at defensive end. He was clocked a couple of years ago at 4.4 for the 40. Moss unloads. Williams wrapped up right at the line of scrimmage. Joe Fleming was there, and Cotton helped out.
You know, that's just experience from Joe Fleming, because there's no reason Joe Fleming should have been over at that part of the field except for that he played the play.
I've got a theory on Joe Fleming today. He was a 9th round draft choice of the St. Louis Blues hockey team. He knows all the Team Canada brass is in. He might get a look when the season's over.
I'd like to get a tryout. I'd hate to see Joe Fleming on skates. A little pressure on Jason Moss. Disrupts the timing a little bit, but Joe Fleming was in a spot that he really shouldn't have been in.
Yeah, Fleming 6'3", 290. That would be imposing. From 45 yards out with the wind at his back, and Sean Fleming nails this one and puts the Eskimos back on top. It's 23-21 in a seesaw Labor Day battle here in Calgary.
You know, Tom Higgins, though, when he has the wind at his back like he does right now, you got to think that field goals are a bit of a disappointment for him. Calgary, on the other hand, are thinking, we just need to weather the storm a little bit in the 3rd quarter. We get the ball and the field position advantage in the 4th with the wind behind us, and then we got this game.
They have 3:11 remaining into the wind, the Stampeders do. That's the 4th lead change of this game. Back and forth we go.
That's Labor Day for you.
And Ben Sankey at the controls for the Stampeders in the 2nd half as Anderson gets rocked and driven back. Dario Romero, who had a couple of sacks in his first meeting against the Stampeders, comes up with a big hit there.
There's phase 1 of that formation, and really we've been talking about it all game because it's been the success factor for the Calgary Stampeders all game. That's the first phase. You give it to Calvin Anderson. Now, he doesn't pick up a whole lot, but it makes the defensive line respect him on every play.
2nd and 8 after the 2-yard Anderson carry. Sankey in trouble again. Trying to shake it, and he can't. Ball came loose, and we got a friggin' wrestling match there, but it'll be 3rd down.
Again, the good news for the Calgary Stampeders is Ben Sankey. Yes, he's sacked. Yes, he gives up some yardage, but he doesn't force a bad throw downfield and a turnover. Again, this is just strategy from Wally Buono, and Buono is just thinking, the 3rd quarter, we're facing the wind. We just got to hang in there. Get it in the 4th.
There was Anderson releasing from the backfield, but Sankey didn't spot him in time, and now it's a punting situation with under 2 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Another good kick into the wind for O'Mani. Ashley cut back, and this time into the swarm. And Aldi Henry, the leader of the Stampeders specialty crew, was downfield quickly.
That's 2 very good kicks into the wind by Duncan O'Mani, no question about it. And the thing he's doing is keeping that football nice and low. Now, if he gets one more chance to do it here, though, got to be careful. That was a 47-yarder, but it's low, and it gets to the returner, Donnie Ashley, very quickly, which means it's returnable.
Off his best game last week, 46.4 yard average against BC. Jason Moss back in the lead by a couple as the S take over at their 36. This time Moss on a roll, he could take off. A lot of real estate open there for him. And he gets to the 52.
The importance of your running back. Ron Williams, the fake to Ron Williams, pulled Ray Jacobs all the way down to a point where he was almost tackling the running back. The only problem was he didn't have the football. Watch up at the top of your screen right here. Ray Jacobs went and hit Ron Williams in the backfield.
First and 10 from the Eskimo 52.
16-yard pickup for Moss, a first down. Moss with time, and Hervey reached back and grabs that one.
And Hervey, number 81, with the catch.
Out dueling Fields for the football, and the Eskimos threaten again late in this third quarter.
Started to wonder when Ed Hervey would get involved with the offense again. He's been on such a roll in his last 6 games, averaging 108 yards per game, and finally he gets involved again in the offense. And again, it's a deep pass, the post on William Fields.
3 catches, 90 yards for Hervey, 6 touchdown catches in the last 3 games. This should be the final play, third quarter. Moss sets up and a throw incomplete, intended for Rick Walters.
Early in the season, Rick Walters made that catch. He's been struggling lately.
And that's the final play of the third quarter. 4 lead changes in the game. 23-21 Eskimos. Tom Higgins was once Wally Buono's co-coach. Now the chess match is between these two on Labor Day, and to the winner goes second place in the West.
And the advantage heading into next week, just 5 days away on Friday night when they go and do it all over again in Edmonton.
And should the Eskimos win, they would have a 3-point lead in that race. The numbers through 45 minutes.
Look at that time of possession again, favoring the Edmonton Eskimos. And the question remains, how long can the Calgary defense hang in there? It's a hot afternoon here in Calgary.
2nd and 10 from the Stampeder 32. Moss under the gun, chased down, gets it away, incomplete. And a flag is thrown late as Moss was taken out at the sidelines.
Otis Floyd pushed him out of bounds right along the sideline, and I believe he's going to get called for the late hit on the quarterback. And he was very upset with the call. Jason Moss obviously just trying to avoid the loss. Throw that ball into the ground.
Costly penalty. Floyd, who was with the Eskimos last year on Labor Day.
Necessary roughness, Calgary, number 35, first down.
Get back to that time of possession, Chris. When your defense gets tired, you start to lose focus mentally. And that's when you'll get a penalty at the wrong time. On the sideline, Otis Floyd had a step to let up, and he gave Jason Moss that extra push.
And gives Edmonton a fresh set of downs at the 17. Ronald Williams, nice cutback. Williams into the end zone, high stepping. Touchdown Edmonton.
Ron Williams was not cut by Ron Lancaster for what he did on the field. Make no mistake about that. He was right behind Mike Pringle when he got cut, and he still is. And he's been a big factor for Edmonton this afternoon.
And that play is really typical why he is so highly regarded around the league.
Fleming to add the extra point. And he does. And the Edmonton Eskimos now have a 9-point advantage, courtesy of Ron Williams. 62nd touchdown in Ronald Williams' career, ties Tracy Ham for 10th all-time.
He's so powerful that as a tackler, you don't want to hit him high or he can embarrass you by running over you. But watch all the Calgary tacklers go down at Ron Williams' legs, and when they do that, he has the athletic ability to hurdle them into the end zone. Everyone diving for the legs of Ron Williams because of his power.
Two-time Eastern All-Star, and here's Antonio Warren! Foot race! And Warren caught by France Clarkson, saving a touchdown. But when Calgary needed a big play, they get it on a 60-yard Warren return.
Are we having fun yet? Oh boy, who's going to get the ball last?
Just when you thought green and gold had all the momentum.
Well, not only is this a huge play on the return to give Calgary that field position so they can respond to the Edmonton score, but remember, they now have the wind at their back.
All the way down to the Edmonton 25. Fake to Anderson. Sankey looks for Tunkara again, and this time knocked out of his hands by Cordell Taylor. But Tunkara suddenly becoming a favored receiver.
Well, it's not what you do on the play that you make the mistake, but how you recover from it that will determine how long you play in professional football. Cordell Taylor early in the game tackled Mark Boerichter and got a bad penalty. This time he has composure when the ball arrives and plays the football and makes up for a mistake made earlier.
Former second-round draft choice of Jacksonville. Cordell Taylor making the play, 2nd and 10. A fake to Anderson. Sankey shakes one tackle and now looks downfield wide open at the goal line. Touchdown, Mark Boerichter. And now, Glenn, they are having fun in Calgary.
No question. Different defensive formation for Edmonton. They put linebacker Singor Mobley back at the free safety, and he had decided to come out of coverage because he thought Ben Sankey was going to run.
Like you said at the start, Bo knows, and it's his first catch of the game, his 5th touchdown. Extra point is good. And now 2 points separate these two teams on a Labor Day Classic.
This is what can happen when your quarterback breaks contain. Mark Boerichter keeps fighting for the football to come up with a touchdown. But when the quarterback breaks contain like Ben Sankey does, it puts a bind on the defensive backs. And this time it's going to be Singor Mobley playing the safety position. He's going to come back into your screen right here. Hold it there, guys. Look at this. He's way too shallow. He had come up. If he's back here, he's got a chance for the play. He tries to recover, puts a hit on Boerichter, but it's too late. When that quarterback breaks contain, the defensive backs have to make a quick decision. Do I come up and try and tackle him, or do I stay back in coverage? And that time it got Mobley.
30-28 Edmonton. Donnie Ashley nailed at the 30, knocked back. Kelly Lockbaum with the stop, a 22-yard return, and that Boerichter touchdown. He has scored 1 touchdown for every 4 catches this year, which is why he told George Cortez, I'd like to see the ball more.
Well, you think about the Calgary Stampeders a year ago. Calvin Anderson did his thing. Travis Moore did his thing. The difference was that Mark Boerichter had over 1,000 yards. This year, he's been invisible. You see Sankey get outside, and that's where the problems are created in the secondary for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Eskimo football.
And how about Bo Richter holding on and taking a lick? Eskimos back to work. Moss slipped and is taken down. One of the Pelon boys, Mark, makes the stop. His brother on the offensive line for the Stampeders.
Mark Pelon getting a chance to play for the injured Jeff Traversy in the middle along with Joe Fleming. And if anything, he's going to learn from Joe Fleming how to keep that motor running full speed all game long in just his third year. Of course, Fleming has 6 years of CFL experience.
Eskimos have scored a point on each possession in this second half. Now they're faced with 2nd and 12. Moss with more time. Throwing over the middle, nearly picked. Joe Barnes had a hand on it. It was intended for Ed Hervey.
Just one that Jason Moss would like back. Had plenty of time in the pocket to throw the football. There was some confusion in the Calgary defense. They were shifting on the snap of the ball, movement everywhere. And because of that, Jason Moss caught him off guard. This is the play that the receiver he wanted to go to, and it's Ed Hervey coming across. He had an opening. Moss overthrows him.
Now let's see what Fleming can do into the breeze. Rush was on. They nearly got it. Antonio Warren crosses the 45 and lunges ahead. Eskimos have had punts blocked the last 2 weeks. Fleming had to get that one away quickly. Lawrence Deck almost got to the football. Chris Cuthbert, Glenn Sutter, Steve Armitage, and the CFL on CBC crew enjoying another Labor Day in Calgary. A 2-point Eskimo lead as the Stamps break the huddle with Ben Sankey putting up good numbers in relief of the injured Marcus Crandall. Here's Kelvin Anderson with a lot of movement in that backfield again.
I love the chess match right now that's going on between George Cortez, offensive coordinator for the Calgary Stampeders, and Greg Marshall, the defensive coordinator for the Edmonton Eskimos. He's back at the back there. That's Greg Marshall. He's trying to figure out a way to find an answer for this formation that George Cortez has presented him in this game and given him problems, and that's bringing the receivers in tight and either going to Calvin or throwing off the play action to Calvin.
2nd and 3. Anderson tries the left side, and he gets outside and has the first down. Singer Mobley wrestles him down. But Anderson shows you his outside speed to move the sticks.
And this is where Greg Marshall can't really draw it up any better. He had the answer. He had the people in the right position. And this is just Calvin Anderson's second effort getting the first down on his own. Pretty much all the gaps across the line of scrimmage there are covered. But you see with Calvin Anderson's great speed how he outruns 4 Edmonton tacklers.
10-yard gain, 1st and 10 at the Edmonton 44. This time play action. Sankey, lots of time. And Tunkara stretched out. Couldn't pull that down.
Well, he had to get in a hurry. He had to go up there, snatch it out of the air, pull it down and protect his ribs because Ralph Staten had locked his sights right on those ribs.
Tunkara with a couple of touchdown catches in this game. In what has been a little more diversified offense today for Calgary.
With Vince Danielson out, Tunkara gets more playing time.
2nd and 10, under 10 minutes to play. Sankey again with time. Downfield, Bo Richter, and it was knocked away. Cordell Taylor got a hand on it as they went to Bo Richter, and he was open for a moment.
You know, and this will be something that will fare very well with the Edmonton Eskimo coaching staff when you make an early mistake and you can come back and fight through it. Mark Boerichter is going to try and run the corner route right in here. When he gets out to the outside, you see Boerichter going to break out. Now he's open right now. Cordell Taylor takes his time, looks back to the football, and keeps his composure. Early in the game, he got a bad penalty in the same situation.
Well, it is his final Labor Day game. Mark McLaughlin will retire at the end of this year. A 51-yarder here, and it hooks away and will go through for a single point. And now Calgary's within one at 30-29.
This for Tom Higgins and the Edmonton Eskimos is where Ron Williams becomes a bigger part of the issue. And the decision to sign a guy who obviously, has some ghosts in his closet in Ron Williams. But now you need him. And as it gets colder, you need a running game, and that's why they signed him.
And when he puts up big numbers in Edmonton, Ron Lancaster will not be surprised.
No, he won't. No question.
So Edmonton starts at their own 44. And they go to Ron Williams. And look at that stutter step. And he breaks it into Calgary territory down to the stamped 50-yard line. That's 16 more for Williams.
You're going into the wind. Calgary has some momentum. You hand off the football, it keeps the clock rolling, and it's a bit demoralizing for that defense, especially the front seven, when you can run right up there. Ron Williams is not touched until Greg Frères hits him at the safety position.
83 yards for Williams on the day. 1st and 10, Edmonton. Ronald Williams again. This time it got jammed up a little earlier. Ray Jacobs in the pile. And the ball will be marked at the 47. So Williams with 3 more. Well, he's been disruptive today, but as far as Calgary's concerned.
Well, no, but yeah, I mean, with Williams, it's the balance that's so important.
Big play here, 2nd and 7 for Jason Moss. Rushes on, and the pass incomplete, intended for Walters. And the defense stands for the Stampeders.
Joey Walters is the under of what's called an over and under, and it's very simply that. Joey Walters runs across the field shallow. Terry Vaughn is the deeper route coming across the top. And Ricky Walters is right over the short zone.
You were thinking of an old teammate there for a minute.
Did I call him Joey? Oh, he'll never let me hear the end of that.
Joey made a few catches in this league, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
7:37 and the clock ticking. Fleming against the wind again. Good kick. Warren, you could hear somebody say, let it go. He did, but it didn't bounce into the end zone, and he has to run it out to the 10.
That's Sean Fleming taking it about a 9-iron, taking a nice easy swing and getting some backspin right at the flag.
Yeah, he used the Paletta ball that time.
It sure did, because that one had eyes. It hit that, basically hit right on the goal line or just outside of it, and then sucked back.
46-yard punt into the wind. So the punters have done the job into that breeze. 9 yards on the return. Well, it's been everything we could have anticipated. Might be a lot of new faces to this tradition, but they're living up to it. Anderson left side, and he'll give him some breathing room and maybe a fresh set of downs. Shannon Garrett finally pulled him down.
The best tackler for the Edmonton Eskimos defensively all year has been Terry Ray. And again, George Cortez by design is getting Terry Ray away from Calvin Anderson by moving the fullback Scott Regenbold out of the backfield. When he leaves, Cortez knows that Terry Ray will go with him. when he goes with them, that's taking the best Edmonton tackler away from Calvin Anderson.
Like the chain linked short, which might not be a bad thing. It'll give Calgary one more down to
see where Terry Ray is, Chris. He's way out at the sideline. Nowhere near Calvin Anderson, has no chance to get involved. That's good game planning from George Cortez.
Regimbald, the decoy out there. And just a plunge forward for Ben Sankey out of Wake Forest University, which happens to be the same school that produced Jimmy Kemp. And if you're joining us late today, it was Hamilton 26, the Argos 13, as the Ticats move over 500. And the Argos at 2-7 get into a deeper hole.
Yikes.
They're watching the West right now because they're going to need a crossover to qualify for the postseason, it would appear. First down for the Stamps. Play action, Sankey under the gun, ducks under, and then got nailed. As he delivered the football, Robert Brown punished the second Calgary quarterback of the day.
But that pass did cross the line of scrimmage, which means there will be no intentional grounding call. But yeah, Robert Brown puts the hit on him as he steps up in the pocket, flushed out. Edmonton coming with the halfback blitz. You see Shannon Garrett down at the bottom of your screen, and there's the hit from Robert Brown. Sankey grabbed that left knee, but he seems to be okay.
So it's 2nd and 10, 5:45 of the clock running, remaining in the fourth quarter at McMahon, and a timeout being called by Sankey. Didn't like what he saw.
Well, Sankey looked up and he saw Terry Ray at free safety. You can see him limp a little bit as he heads to the sideline. He grabbed that knee right away, and they're going to talk to him about that and what he saw defensively. But when he came to the line of scrimmage, the linebacker, number 28, Terry Ray, was lined up at free safety. That's a formation I guarantee you Calgary has not seen. So now Greg Marshall getting the act in that chess match with George Cortez.
Sankey burning the only timeout, which may have come in handy a little bit later in a one-point game, but
very good point.
You don't want to make a mistake with a formation you haven't seen before. An interception at this point might be lethal. Second and 10, and they're airing it out. Travis Moore left for that, but couldn't bring it in. Pretty tight coverage provided by Garrett.
Talk about Greg Marshall getting involved. How confident is he in the athletic ability of Terry Ray? Shannon Garrett is covering on the play. He gets the one-on-one to the outside on Travis Moore, but Terry Ray for 2 plays in a row lined up at free safety. I mean, that's confidence in a linebacker. He's got the athletic ability to play free safety for you as well.
There's Marcus Crandall in civvies now, alongside Sankey is Duncan O'Mahony, the native of Kilkenny, Ireland, and the former UPC Thunderbird. Back in to hunt it away. A low snap, fielded on a hop, and he rushed the kick, but gets a good bounce, and there will not be a return as it skips out at the 32. So the rookie, unflappable, 58 yards on a Stampeder bounce.
The road to the Grey Cup starts here on CBC Sports Saturday as the BC Lions take to the gridiron to face the Toronto Argonauts. The CFL on CBC, Saturday at 3 Eastern. Teamwork in motion, fierce competition, and a passionate spirit. Prime-time show jumping at its best. The excitement that surrounds the prestigious Bank of Montreal Nations Cup, Saturday at 7 on CBC.
Less than 5 minutes to go. Ronald Williams with another big carry for the Edmonton Eskimos. Craig Freres, the safety, had to bring him down. 12 for Williams as he approaches 100 on the day.
And if Williams does get tired, because he will get the bulk of the workload the rest of the way, Mark Nora's ready to come in.
98 for Ronald Williams in his Eskimo debut.
You know, in a lot of ways, Ron Williams looks like the typical Edmonton running back.
First and 10 at the 44. Moss down. They get to Moss as Ray Jacobs comes up with a sack.
By design of the play, Ray Jacobs is not blocked. And what Edmonton hopes will happen is that Ray Jacobs will go down with the play action fake. And he didn't bite at all.
You know, Glenn, one thing that Wally Bono has complained about this year is the lack of big plays from his defense. That's a big play right now with under 4 minutes to go. Second and 15. Out in the flat, Terry Vaughn slowed and finally down short of the first down.
He's short, but how about the effort from Terry Vaughn?
He almost escaped again.
You know, get a game film. If you're a young football player, the Edmonton Eskimos, tape one of his games, because he gives you an unbelievable effort on every single play. Yeah, he's short, but he gave it everything he had.
Trying to keep his record on Labor Day perfect. But it's in the balance here, a 1-point game. And the Stampeders are going to get the ball back. It's 3rd and 8. And now 2 receivers drop deep for the Stampeders. Travis Moore joining Antonio Warren. And it will be Moore. Finds a hole. Travis Moore all the way to the 50-yard line. And he wanted more.
I told you that earlier, Terry Vaughn and Travis Moore went to the same school when it comes to running with the football and the effort they provide. We saw Terry Vaughn do it, and there's Travis Moore right back at you.
Less than 3 minutes remaining at McMahon Stadium. 30-29 Edmonton, and the Stampeders with the football. Eskimos trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. The Stamps trying to end a 4-game losing streak against their provincial rivals, and it's going down to the wire. First and 10, Sankey play action. Looking downfield for Bo Richter, and it sails over the head of the big receiver. And again, Cordell Taylor in coverage earlier in this game. Marcus Crandall knocked out with a sore shoulder on that hit by Fred Perry.
Yeah, and then it was Ben Sankey's turn, and that was here in the fourth quarter, grabbing that left knee. And both quarterbacks for Calgary using their mobility to find some success here in this game this afternoon. Now, with Ben Sankey limping a little bit, how will that affect his mobility?
And our statistician Dave Moyer tells me that Sankey 0 for his last 5 pass attempts. 2nd and 10. He'll step up. In trouble. Lost the ball. Robert Brown's on it. The Eskimos have the football.
Another formation from Greg Marshall, putting Terry Ray, the linebacker, at free safety, but this time sending him on the blitz. And because he's coming, the count for the offensive lineman is all screwed up, and they have tons of Edmonton Eskimos running free. Doug Peterson is there. There's 28. He came from about 20 yards away to get involved in the play. Terry Ray in the middle of your screen right there had come from 20 yards from free safety, jumps over the pile, and I believe he knocks it out of there.
Like Fred Perry may have got a hand on it. He's been busy. Ronald Williams stacked up. Under 2.5 minutes to go.
Well, what a great chess match it's going on. George Cortez with that special formation and the 3 progressions off of it, and then Greg Marshall throwing some things in late. He's the second guy in the back of that booth there saying, well, let's move our linebacker to free safety and see if that confuses them at all. So now it's Cortez's turn to find an answer.
So much at stake here. Second place on the line, and maybe a kickstart off to a great second half for one of these two teams. 1-point game. It's 2nd and 8. And Moss looks downfield. Jump ball, and Pryor knocks it down. Intended for Quincy Jackson.
Chris, and now the 13th player for the Calgary Stampeders starts to become a factor, and that's the fans. I talked to Jason Moss before this game. He told me all week long they've worked on silent count. In other words, when he gets on the line of scrimmage, they're not going to call set, hot, or anything to get the football. It'll just be snaps. But what it does is it takes an offense out of the opportunity to audible or change the play on the line of scrimmage. I'm not so sure that Moss might have wanted to change that play. Pryor was in good coverage.
Well, this is a big field goal attempt for Sean Fleming. He can force the Calgary Stampeders into needing a touchdown to win. There's his story of the day. This from 40 yards out. And they kick it out. They didn't think they could make it.
Exactly. That's deliberate kick from Sean Fleming. It'll go down in the stats as a missed field goal, but that was deliberate. He tried to angle that to the sideline. Earlier in the game, he had two big punts with the wind that went for singles. Mistakes by Fleming. He wanted to get him out. This is easier to direct a kick when you blind up in the field goal formation. Well, Tom Higgins going for field position rather than the points.
I think he'd like even better field position. That was only a 20-yard angle, and Stamps are going to have the ball at the 19, so it could have been worse, but that wind just too stiff, apparently, for the Eskimos to try for 3. So it's still a 1-point game. Let's see if Sankey was rattled by that fumble. Looking deep, man open, and just off the outstretched fingertips of Camu Peterson. He got in behind, and oh, he would have been a hero with that catch.
He'll be sitting in the film room tomorrow, and he will just drop his head here because he has a chance to get his name in the paper. Camu Peterson just blows by Frederick Lewis. That's just a track meet that Peterson is flat out winning. He just needed to finish, and that ball was right in his hands.
That name's not in the paper, it's in the headlines.
Absolutely.
Instead, 2nd and 10, 1:52 on the clock. Drysdale directing traffic, but the snap fooled Sankey. He recovers and now gets outside. Sankey will take off, a lot of field ahead. Ben Sankey all the way up to the 53 before Ray jars him, and a penalty flag flies as he gets 15 more.
Hold the headlines. You might want to put Ben Sankey's name right in the headlines. Initially, the snap came low, but Sankey was looking at the coverage in the shotgun formation. But rather than panic, he hasn't had a lot of reps all year long. He picks it up on the hop and makes something out of nothing. He's looking at coverage, doesn't see the ball come low, but look at the composure. No problem. No one open downfield. Takes off running. Remember, he's got a bad knee. And look at that. Big first down, and they'll tack on some penalty yardage on Terry Ray after the fact.
He saw nothing but green all the way up the sidelines until Terry Ray drew the 15-yard penalty. And we had a penalty on the Stampeders for a similar play just a few minutes ago, so that department has been evened. 1:40 to go, and a 49-yard play, 34 on the carry, and the 15-yard tacked on. And Romero is down, cramping up a bit, getting attention.
Well, Ben Sankey has done a nice job in this game of using his legs to help him buy some time. And that time he fought more than that. He got a first down. But all game long, since he's replaced Marcus Crandall, he's moved around in the pocket very nicely. And you can see the leadership now coming out of him in that huddle. This is where you learn how to win football games. Calgary has not been bad all year offensively, Chris. They just haven't found ways to win. They haven't learned how to win games. This is where you do it right here.
What a platform. Be quite a springboard for the Stamps if they could use this to set them on a better second half of the year.
And in that chess match we're talking about, George Cortez has now gone to more of a spread offense to counter what Greg Marshall did with Terry Ray at the safety position. So that chess game is still going in. And now a different formation from George Cortez.
And I know it's not what Calgary has in mind, Glenn, but overtime looms here, 1-point game, and they're getting down to scoring position as far as a kick goes. Anderson left side, big hole! Down to the 12, Kelvin Anderson. 32 yards for 32.
I am loving this chess game. George Cortez knows one thing. If they move the fullback, Scott Reginbold, out of the backfield, again, the best tackler, who is Terry Ray, goes with them. No Terry Ray in the middle of that defense. Kelvin Anderson knows he has one guy to beat. It's Singor Mobley, and he does beat him outside to the field.
Over 100 yards for the 4th time this year. And George Cortez is going back to Anderson in the second half. Something he hasn't done much of the year. This time, play action. Sankey cuts back and tripped up. A saving tackle by Cordell Taylor. Otherwise, Sankey's in the end zone.
The Edmonton Eskimos secondary said, we've seen this movie a couple of times. Darnell Taylor and Shannon Garrett had their men covered completely. Ben Sankey had nowhere to throw the football. This is the same play they have run 4 or 5 times. 2 of them have gone for touchdowns to Tunkara. This time they're well covered, and Sankey has no choice.
4 yards for Sankey. 2nd and 6. They can't make a first down, I believe, just outside the 6-yard line. Into the end zone, nobody home, and it will be 3rd down.
Mobley forced the issue and gave the Edmonton Eskimos a chance in this football game. You got to think that Mark McLaughlin's going to be perfect from here. But Mobley forced the issue on Ben Sankey and made him throw the ball early.
So McLaughlin will be called upon to attempt a 13-yarder. Fourteenth year in his career. And this, in all probability, his last Labor Day kick.
Talk about 9-irons. This is a sand wedge.
1 minute remaining. No doubt about that. The Grey Cup hero of 98 puts Calgary back in the lead again.
Jason Moss has plenty of time. 57 seconds left. All Moss needs, probably with this win, is around 28, 35-yard line, somewhere in there, for a Sean Fleming field goal attempt. 57 seconds is plenty of time to get that done, and they'll take the ball rather than the kickoff.
Well, he's in his 3rd start of the season for Edmonton, and this would certainly go well in the annals of Labor Day lore if he could lead the Eskimos back down the field for the winning points.
Talk about learning how to win games in the crunch. So Jason Moss, he's sitting in the classroom right now in that huddle saying, all right, boys.
Of course, Ben Sankey has made his presence felt in his first Labor Day.
Sure did.
And now the fans trying to urge on the Calgary defense.
Remember, it's a defense that's been on the field longer than they've wanted to this afternoon. Can they hold up for one more series? Barnes has played tremendous. And they want the crowd involved now. They're getting them involved to get that adrenaline pumping for one more stand.
Well, these games don't always live up to the billing classic, but this has been a good one. What's left for Jason Moss? Over the middle, Hervey! And he has it at midfield. What a catch by Hervey.
They are now 2 first downs away from a long Sean Fleming field goal attempt. 2.5 first downs from one he should make. Lots of time.
Greg Freres had a shot at it, but Hervey reeled it in. Stamps with a full rush. Terry Vaughn, a one-hander.
What a catch.
Did he catch it?
What a catch.
One-hander behind him, and he pulled it in.
Jason Moss used a staggered snap count to stop the blitz coming on time from Calgary at the line of scrimmage. And when he did that, it slowed down the rush. That opened up some time to find Vaughn, and he made a great catch.
Ball at the 46, 2nd and 2. Clock running. Moss. Complete to Vaughn again. That's a first down, and he's wrapped up. No yak yards there. And it's just over a half minute to go, and they've still got a few more yards to get into Sean Fleming range.
Chris, the wind is gusting a little bit. At times, it looks like it drops off, and then it gusts. I think Fleming needs another 15 yards.
You think Edmonton's got to get to the 25? About that area. First down. Moss steps up. He'll take off. Still going. That's Sean Fleming range to the 15, a 23-yard scamper.
Now, Tom Higgins has 17 seconds. He doesn't want to kick this ball and give Calgary any opportunity, and he wants to get the football in the middle of the field. So Jason Moss will take one snap, slide to the middle, and fall down so that it's perfectly lined up for Sean Fleming.
Fleming's been in the doghouse since the Western semi last year. Will he get a chance here? Moss puts it in front with 7 seconds to go. Straight on kick now.
Now, it's 2nd down. If Tom Higgins is smart here, he goes for the field goal right now. If there's a bobbled snap and they still have a second on the clock, they'll get another chance at the field goal. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Send on Sean Fleming on 2nd down. Don't mess around now.
So it's all on the toe of Sean Fleming now. And how about the composure of Jason Moss in the final minute?
They may have found their quarterback of the future.
It's a 2-point lead for Calgary. Fleming trying to change that. And Sean Fleming is good. With no time left, the Edmonton Eskimos extend their Labor Day winning streak at McMahon Stadium. You've got yourself a new hero in Edmonton. Jason Moss looks like the real deal.
Tremendous composure in the last drive of the game. He took possession of the football with 57 seconds left in it. He threw a nice ball to Ed Hervey, a nice one to Terry Vaughn, ran for a first down to set up the field goal, and they got it done.
3 points. Edmonton moves ahead of Calgary in the West as we join Steve.
Thank you very much, Chris. Jason Moss, an unbelievable finish to this football game.
This is a great finish, and I just want to say what's up to Mike Juhasz, who's sitting at home with a knee injury for Hamilton Tiger Cats. This one's for you, baby.
You showed us a lot of composure for one who's only been around for a couple of years.
Hell, I just want to win. I wanted to win more than anything. I told the guys in the locker room 35 points would win it. I was pretty damn close. And this is a great team effort. Got to give your hats off to Calgary. They played a hell of a game, but, you know, we stuck it out and, you know, came back on that drive. We've been practicing that all week. Had a great job in practice and just...
You did a great job, sir. Jason Moss and the Edmonton Eskimos beat the Calgary Stampeders in a Labor Day Classic, 33-32. Sean Fleming's field goal, last second field goal, the difference in this one for the Eskimos. They made it a classic. They beat Calgary 33-32. Don't get Blue Jays action Friday and Sunday. The Tigers in town at Skydome to take on the Jays. The CFL on CBC next Saturday. Damon Allen won't be in the lineup, but the Lions are in Toronto at Skydome. Here at McMahon Stadium, a thriller. The Eskimos win it 33-32.
CBC Sports, Canada's Olympic Network.